everybody, it's Sophie and Marco, Dish It on the Movies, and today we are reviewing an actual movie. It is part of a series of movies of the same, whatever, got somebody bothering me, like a witch series.
Why don't you just say the title?
Witchouse 3,
it's literally
Demon Fire.
It's literally the Witchouse series. Like, it's not like a series like about witches and stuff. It's the Witchouse series because that's what the titles are.
Right. Well, and I guess the first criticism is
the title.
The title is misleading.
It was funny because in the movie I expected there either has to be some sort of significance of like the witch coming to life through fire, or them defeating the witch with fire, and it literally has no relevance to the movie. It's just like a title that they made up.
Or her causing a fire.
Because they thought it sounded cool and edgy, and it sounded hardcore, like, you know, witches burn. And like they kept saying that in the movie. It's like, when did they ever do that? Like, they could have easily done that at the end. They could have had somebody get burnt. And, you know, so I really thought, like, the title was, like, stupid title. I mean, if you're going to have a subtitle, it has to have a purpose. They could have just called it Witchouse 3 and it would have been better. Like, you know, Puppet Man... Oh, wait, no, that had a subtitle. Whatever. Safi?
Well...
Come back to life now.
There's nothing else to say except the title is about the title.
Oh, okay.
The title was misleading. I thought maybe, I'll just say this right now, hopefully Marco won't mind, but yeah. I read, like I said a million times, I read all the time. I've read all summer, and
Safi learned how to read.
Okay. Anyway, I read a mystery series which involves a real witch and Wiccan witches, which aren't the same. And it's called The Witchcraft and Mystery Series. It's by Juliet Blackwell, and there's 13 books in it. And they had one story in which there was a demon that she has to fight, and every time it shows up, it starts a fire. And so it'll just extinguish itself, or it'll go out of control and they have to call the fire department or whatever, but it goes throughout the entire book. So I was thinking maybe it was going to be something like this.
Was the witch Ryan?
What?
You don't remember that from the Office?
Ryan started the fire.
No,
remember that?
No, I don't.
Why don't you remember that?
I don't, because I have so many other things to remember.
Like what? Okay. Juliet Blackwell?
Yeah, that's a good book series. I read 2 book series by her this summer. It takes place in San Francisco in the Haight. So it's really a really good series. And anyway, back to the movie. So I thought, like Marco, that somehow fire would be involved in the storyline or with the witch that is summoned, and nothing. I don't think there was ever any fire of any kind throughout the entire movie.
They burn candles.
Yeah, well, big deal. That's like a given with witches. So I'd say another big criticism about the movie, that the acting was really bland. I mean, it was just bland.
It was like watching a high school project.
Yeah. And it could have been... Marco said it was an hour and 20 minutes.
An hour and 15 or something.
But it could have been like a half
30.
an hour.
Yeah.
The storyline was very meager. I have it written down. I don't know if Marco wants me to say what it is, but there's actually,
Go ahead, Sophie.
Well, there would be 3 main girls. There's a witch, and then there's a husband.
Just don't regurgitate. Just don't regurgitate the movie like you're I am a plot robot. I am going to tell you the full plot of the movie. First off,
Okay,
this
Marco.
happens.
Okay.
Secondly,
Okay.
that's what you do. That's like your reviewing style. It's like a non-review style that you made up.
Okay, Marco. So we have 3 girls, and when I say girls, they're like in their 20s.
They don't really act like they're in their 20s,
or
though.
maybe early 30s.
They act like they're like 13 years old.
Yeah, they are very goofy. And one of them, do they both live in that same apartment? One of them is paying the rent on an apartment. Then she has a friend, and I'll call the one who owns the apartment, I'll call her the middle girl, okay? And then we have a woman who joins them. She's their friend, and she's upset because her husband, she tells them her husband's abused her, and she shows a bruise on her face. So she's with them the entire movie. And then they have the other girl who Marco calls the main girl. And so there's 3. Yeah, you've been calling her the main girl. That's what you said. So what they do is the middle girl is doing a documentary on witches. So they start doing these little, they draw a pentagram, and she wants to pretend like they have a coven, and they have a special witchcraft book called what is it called, Marco?
A grimoire.
It's a grimoire. That is a real thing. There are grimoires.
It's not a real grimoire, though. It's a witchy poo grimoire.
It's a very witchy grimoire. They're all witchy, Marco. So they have that, and so it's all. So they fake these little. Well, it doesn't really turn out to be fake. They do this one big ceremony, and they recall the witch. This is the witch Lilith from the other 2 movies. So she's like a bad witch. She's an evil witch.
She's a witch and a bitch.
Yeah. So she ties the 3 movies together, basically. And so then all kinds of bad things begin to happen. And you say,
Not really.
But, it's just like little things here or there. You see witches burn written on a door and written on several different places. And then the husband gets attacked and he gets killed. And so you're all thinking, oh, this has to do with the evil witch, because they'll show her walking around and nobody sees her. And then it's they see her outside with the robe walking down the street, and in like somebody's in the bathroom and she's in the shower looking through the glass, which is weird because it's the kind you can't see through. It's opaque, which is weird. And anyway, but Marco can tell the rest, but it's not everything that bad is happening. It isn't necessarily attributable to the witch. Go ahead.
Well, it's just like I don't know why they expected it to be such a twist, because in the first movie, the whole movie was like, one of the people there, she was evil and she was possessed by the witch, and she was killing all the people who were reincarnations of the people that put the witch to death. So I don't know why they thought it would be such a twist that the quote-unquote abuse victim, which she turned out to just be another Me Too type of character,
She wasn't abused at all.
She was a faker and a phony.
She was faking it.
And very, very typical. And she was also summoning the witch for revenge.
Yes, that's what she was. She was there with those 2 girls especially
because
she wanted revenge.
Because the other 2 girls raped her husband, and I say rape because he might have quote unquote wanted it, but that's something that Safi would say about and so it's like, no, that's not an excuse. They showed these girls pouring alcohol down his throat and getting him so drunk that he didn't know what was going on, and then they started raping him, and it's like, sorry, that's rape. I didn't even see that as him having fun with them. I just saw that as them raping him, And so that was kind of weird. Terribly executed and shot.
Yeah.
Like, the whole movie was just lame. There's not really anything to say except for, like, this is crap. It's easily the worst of the series. Like, the first one's so much better. The second one is so much better. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. It's like you gave 3 high school girls $10 and you said, go make a movie. And they're like, okay.
Well, they were a lot older than high school.
They don't act like it.
No, that still. So, what happens is, I mean, it's just so simple. The girl, I call her the married girl who says she was abused. She's not abused, which she's already said. And she is getting revenge. So it ends up, they kill the main girl, or not they, she does. And she gets killed too. And the husband gets killed because she kills the husband. You don't know it because you see him struggling in a car. There's a flashlight on him, and you think, oh, it's the witch, and it's her. But you don't know that till the end. And then the middle girl, who is actually, she's been doing this whole thing, not all the killing stuff, but the thing with the witchcraft and then the spell and calling the witch, that was for a documentary that she's doing. So what happens with her, all these people get killed. She's the only one left. The witch likes her, Lilith likes her, so she pulls her over to the dark side. So she goes to the dark side, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
There is nothing much to it.
What happened at the end was that they either had no creativity or they didn't have any money, and so they were like, oh, we can't have her kill the witch, she has to join her. Like, they literally just had a cop-out ending where, like, oh, who knows how she could get destroyed? Who knows?
Yeah. And my favorite part of the movie, of course, this is before we knew that the married girl was a liar about being abused, is the middle girl, the one with the documentary, and she owns the place. She's been paying the rent. She runs into the husband on the beach.
That's her main character trait, is that she pays the rent. Like, there's nothing really else to her character.
Yeah,
like,
well, she's doing a documentary.
Oh,
That's
and she likes to buy burgers, because there's this part, it just comes out of nowhere, where she's like, have you ever had a fat burger? I'm gonna buy you one. It's like, it's fucking stupid.
Was dumb.
That's like a trademark of, like, female-made movies. Like, even though it wasn't made by females, that's, like, always a trademark, is that you just have all this stuff about food. Like, almost every second of the movie, like, snacking, eating, talking about food. It's like, that's like a trademark. You notice that, Safi?
I guess. I don't know, but, that was weird because it was totally out of place. It really didn't fit in with anything. It was almost like a...
Safi, why don't you turn your fucking phone off before I turn it off for you?
It was almost
Give your fucking phone to me.
It was almost like an afterthought to put that in. So anyway, what I was going to say, my favorite scene was the middle girl was on the beach, ran into that married girl's husband, and because she thought that married girl's husband had been beating his wife up, and being horrible to her, she beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, that was the most memorable part because it was so out of nowhere and random.
And she has some great moves. I mean, I can think about, we've been watching all these weird movies about girls being victims, and my God, if they did half the stuff she did, there wouldn't be so many victims. But I mean, that's all. And
then at the end, she starts messing with the killer girl, And it's like, it was like, uh-oh, because, like, we knew that she was going to kick the shit. And she did. She kicked the shit out of the killer girl.
Yeah,
And
the married girl.
she basically slapped her to death. Like, I'm not even kidding. She just slapped, and boom.
Yeah.
That was unexpected. That was like...
It was. It was kind of like the
She-
burger thing, but it was a lot more fun.
She pulled a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on the killer, and so that's
Yeah.
why I kind of wish she would have killed the witch too.
Yeah, that was really odd. It just that's why I say the pieces didn't fit together well, and it turns out it doesn't go together. It just does. It's awkward.
I should have figured that this movie would have sucked though, because the guy who made it was the guy who did Killjoy 2, and you haven't seen that, but it was awful, and this was bad.
How was Killjoy 1? Did
Well,
you see it?
Safi,
Did he
for
do
the
it?
millionth time, I ranked and reviewed the whole series in 2020.
Oh,
The first one was pretty good, and they took it seriously for the most part. But then in the second one, they turned it mostly into a joke, and they had all these stupid jokes, and it was terrible. It was like the story about these prisoners who are going to a prison camp, and then they get sidetracked and they get stuck in the woods. Their car shuts down, or the van, and then Killjoy comes after them. It's just so fucking stupid. And one of the girls from this movie, the middle girl, she's in it. I couldn't even remember her though.
yeah. Well, but that was my favorite part, and I think Marco sounds like he liked it too.
Well, there's nothing else to like.
There's
What else
nothing
is there to like?
Nothing.
Because
all their ceremonies and the way they were doing and things they were talking about. I told you I've been reading this witch series. Well, the woman who wrote the series did tons of research, and you could tell for this movie they really didn't do all the research. So that's another thing.
They didn't
So
even
it's
do
not-
it. And this is another thing too. Sorry, but if you have a good horror movie, especially a full moon horror movie, there's a couple of trademarks. There are lots of like aesthetic trademarks that I'm not going to go over because, they had a couple of those, and it's whatever with those. Like the story was trash anyway, but they hardly had any nudity, and that's like something typical. Like they'll have one nude scene in a full moon movie, and they'll have
I had that. Remember, she got out of the shower.
yeah, for like 2 seconds.
Well, that was
It's
it.
well, yeah, that's trash. That's like,
Well, I'm just saying they had it, but
check mark.
I'm
It's
not
like,
into
no,
it.
that doesn't count.
okay.
And then they're supposed to have blood and gore.
Oh, well, there wasn't
None
any
of that at all.
Mm-mm.
Like they had this girl like kind of with blood on her, like smeared all over her in a really fake way. But they didn't have any scenes like in Puppet Master 3 with like fucking tunneling his
Oh.
drill head into people and blood squirting and gushing out, torch setting people on fire. They didn't have any of that.
No, and that was the thing about fire too.
Yeah, demon fire. Why'd you call the movie Demon Fire?
And because demon equals fire, equals evil, equals do everything bad you can do to people because you don't care because you're a demon. So, anyway, my review, because I think that's all there is to it. There's nothing else to say about the movie. It just wasn't good, and I gave it a D. And I only saved
Oh,
I
shit.
saved it from being an F because of
that
scene on the beach. I thought it was great.
Safi?
And then and the food. I know it's supposed to be a food review, but so D stands for deviled eggs without the main ingredient.
Oh.
What is the main ingredient? Well, it's eggs, but what is a big ingredient that this movie lacked because it was dull? I mean, there just wasn't much to it.
Story?
The
Script?
that little pickle stuff, pickle lily stuff that goes in it. Deviled eggs aren't deviled eggs without either the sweet pickle lily or the relish, pickle relish, or the dill pickle relish. It depends on what your flavor favorite is. So that's what it is. Deviled eggs without the key ingredient. Okay? Oh, and since it's Labor Day weekend, and that's kind of like a holiday picnic type
Yeah,
of food,
holidays suck.
that's, well, yeah, it depends, but this one is just a pain. But I guess for kids who go to school, they get the day off, and for people who work outside the house and it pertains to them, they get the day off. So it's good for them. But
Well,
anyway, what do you say, Marco?
well, it's tough because it's like, how many foods are there that are just so bare and basic and nothing to them, and like,
How about cooked broccoli without salt or some kind of vegetable?
what the hell?
Well, I'm now trying to help you. You said what kind of food is there if you don't have something?
Well, I guess the rice from last night. Last night we had a fish dinner with rice and broccoli, which I could eat that almost every night.
Yeah.
And I made the rice, and rice is pretty difficult to make for some reason. Like, all you do is Sophie's about to knock my phone off the couch and disrupt the
have it?
review. Rice is like a hit, and now she's disrupting it from 10 feet across the room. You just pour water in the rice and you mix it around and you cook it. It's like, how do you screw that up? Well, somehow it's screwed up.
But it wasn't all screwed up. It was like partly.
Yeah. And so I was not able to go over there to fix it because people were in the kitchen. And, this is the temporary place. And it's a small kitchen, it's basically only meant for one person. And so, I don't go in there when other people are in there, even if it's just one other person. So I was not able to go in there to fix the rice because all I would have had to have done is put in more water and cook it for like 5 more minutes. And it would have been fine.
Well, the other person was playing this game too. Well, I can fix it, unless you want to come in here and fix it. But if you don't want to come in here and fix it and you want me to fix it, you have to say so. I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah. So it was basically like sitting around waiting for like 30 minutes, and it's like, whatever, I don't care. And,
well, it wasn't all bad.
No,
So.
but I'm rating the movie that rice from
Oh,
last
yeah.
night because it just felt like,
It wasn't as good as it could have been.
well, it's like there's nothing there. Like, we could have read the summary for this movie and had almost the same review, except for the stuff with, maybe we wouldn't have seen the fighting with that girl and been like, oh, that was cool. But other than that, like, this movie was like a waste of time.
Yeah, it was. Too bad.
So the Witchouse series, I would rank 1, 2, 3. The first one's the best.
Mm.
The second one had good ideas and a really good part, but it was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one was just a waste of time.
Oh, yeah.
Sophie?
I agree. Totally.
And tomorrow's full moon movie, because we will be doing 10, we had to do it this early because the newest Saw movie is coming out at the end of the month, and so we want to review those before that comes out.
Oh, God.
What?
Those are so violent.
Well, Sophie,
I know, it's what it makes it Saw, I guess.
grow a pair.
Oh, my God.
Grow a pair, Sophie. Like, women nowadays, they're all growing pairs, like that's...
God!
They are.
Gross!
They are.
No thanks.
they call them transgender women, and they're women too.
Okay, Marco, that's...
And so they all have a pair.
Okay, Marco. Okay.
Except the ones who are forced to be castrated by their parents when they were children.
Okay,
So
Marco,
anyways,
stop with
oh
this.
no! I spilled my potion, my witch's potions.
If you wanna read
No.
a good witchcraft series, mystery series,
Don't watch the
Read
Blair Witch Project because those
Well, I know
movies
about-
suck.
yeah, those aren't good. But read the Juliet Blackwell series. I just listened to it on audio.
Read lesbian witch fan fictions.
Read at all.
Read lesbian witch fan fictions on Tumblr or something. Like, don't watch Witchhouse 3. But tomorrow's full moon movie will be Subspecies 3. And what I tried to do for this year was I wanted kind of like a theme of sequels. But then halfway through I was like, there's not really any other sequels we can watch for this year. So I let Safi pick out 5 other movies. So there's like 5 sequels and then 5 random picks.
Yeah, to change it up. So everybody, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to become one of our subscribers, you're welcome. We welcome you to our group, and we would welcome your feedback. If you've read any good books about witches or seen a movie that you want to endorse and tell other people about, you're welcome to do that too. If you've seen this movie, what you think about, or you've seen the other 2 in the series, what you think about them. And that's it. So
I would like to rip off Witch House as a series, and I would like to make a series called Warlock House.
Well, in that witch series that I was reading over the summer, they don't like that word.
Why?
I don't know. They just want to be male witches. That's it.
Oh, fuck them.
There's something about
Those
I don't know.
fucking warlocks. Who do they think they are?
I don't know. There's only one real one in the book series, and he's
Well,
really powerful.
I identify as a warlock.
Oh, God. That's BS. So don't listen to that. So goodbye, everybody.
Hi.